Hi, it's been a while. I've been busy. I don't have a lot of time to work on videos right now. Number one being I have a toddler now who is 14 months old, really feisty in all the best ways. I'm studying for the MCAT, so that takes priority number one when I do get any free time, and then just self-care as much as I can, trying not to burn out. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kayla. I'm autistic. I brushed my hair for this, so. This is a pretty heavy topic, but I feel it's important to talk about. Prioritizing your mental health is so important. I haven't always done that. It's important for me to talk about my journey, and that's why I'm doing this. So last chance to jump off this train. With that said, let's get into the video. I'm going to start with a journal entry dated January 4th, 2017. So I was 27 at the time. I've never really contemplated killing myself until now. Ending it because what's the point? I mean, humanity all over the globe like to pretend and act like there's a point with dogma, but that does nothing for my brain. I mean, really, the universe will continue to function, and in 100 years or so, everyone that knew me will be dead. And my story forgotten. It doesn't fucking matter. I'll just be static, nothingness, peace. People really don't care. They'll offer up their time to talk if you need it, but when you try to open up, they act like now just isn't a good time. Oh, you thought I meant now. No, I mean, I'm here for you and stuff, but like, another time. It's never a good time to break down, and when you do, people don't want to deal with you. So you keep pushing until your body forces you to crumble. I remember my last intense mushroom trip in my room. It felt like my body thought it was dying, but it felt nice. I wasn't scared. I almost wanted it to happen. I thought I was dying, but I didn't care. What am I really going to add to the world? Really? I've had suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations as early as, I would say, middle school, 13, 14. In 8th grade, it was the most intense bullying situation that I've experienced. It was a lot to deal with. I cried like every day for months. And I won't get into the specifics. I had just moved to that school, so I was a new kid, but I knew one person at that school, and that's kind of who I attached myself to and who I was friends with and all their friends. And then that came crushing down, and I was completely shunned and alienated from everybody that I knew at that school. I cried alone in the bathroom, eating lunch. I was verbally harassed. So those thoughts came rushing in. And I think it just set off a path of deep thinking, which I've always been a deep thinker, and I'm not saying that to like be on a high horse. It's probably a curse, honestly. You know, I would think about death just nonstop. And it would just, my brain would just be going like, you know, I'd get stuck on a topic or a word, and my brain would just go off, and seemed like it was out of my control at the time. So I would get fixated on people, objects, ideas, just very intrusive thoughts. So when the thought of suicide first came into my brain, it was very intrusive and very obsessive. And of course, I didn't know I was autistic at the time. So looking back, and now that I've had many months to obsess about my current recent diagnosis of autism, I was masking heavily. I was masking even by myself, I've realized. I wouldn't even be able to relax alone for the most part. And when I was first discovering that I was autistic, and even in the beginning months, even after I was diagnosed officially, I still didn't quite believe it, not fully. And since that mask has been coming off mostly involuntarily because I just don't have the energy to mask because I'm being a mom and I'm just overly tired, so I don't have that energy. So the mask was coming off whether I liked it or not. And now it seems like just these probably not final layers. I'm sure I'm going to be like doing this for years and years, if not the rest of my life, but it feels like it's more fine-tuning versus like huge like realizations and coming and smacking me in the face. But hey, I'm not holding my breath that I'm not going to get smacked in the face more as I continue to learn about myself. I didn't think I had these classic meltdowns, and not only did I realize that, oh no, I do, and I have. It's weird, I almost had like this memory block about it. But so not only that, I realized I had got into the habit, and very involuntarily, shutting down and completely dissociating from my emotions, from my body, from my entire existence. I was overwhelmed like 99.9% of the time. I had been dissociating, from what I can gather, for like 90% of my life. I've been like dissociated, in a dissociated state. And I would melt down and I would shut down. But because I was dissociated, my memory was like on another planet. So it was like, it wasn't like it didn't happen because my body felt it, my body remembered, but my brain didn't. And my brain kept telling me that I'm fine, I'm okay. This is what everyone has to deal with. Why is this so hard for me? This shouldn't be so hard. And I honestly thought that everybody was experiencing life the way that I was experiencing it. Like on full blast all the time, not being able to shut everything out. And I didn't talk about it. As soon as I started talking about things and soundboarding, when I stopped, sort of stopped masking in front of my therapist, because I was also masking in front of my therapist, so they were highly convinced by me because I was very convincing. I was a very convincing person to make you think that I'm okay. And that included everybody in my family. I didn't have a lot of friends in my younger years, not really. I didn't like sleepovers, so I never really had friends over. My summers were spent mostly by myself at home reading. And that was fine for me. The only reason I felt bad about that and thought that I was a loser was because I thought I was supposed to hang out with friends all summer, and because that's what movies and other people talked about when we returned to school that fall. But I obviously preferred to stay home alone with my cat. Another reason why I didn't fully believe my diagnosis was that I didn't think that I was a big stimmer. I didn't think that I stimmed. I was like, I don't really stim, I don't think. And boy, was I wrong. I have been depriving myself of stims for as long as I can remember. And now I'm just like a stimming little chipmunk. And by the way, toddlers are the best little beautiful creatures to stim with. They are the best. It's fantastic. I'm stimming all day with my toddler and it's amazing. So into 14-15, I also dealt with an eating disorder. It was a mix between starving myself and binging and purging, and that's kind of the first time I saw a therapist. I'm sweating like a mofo. I am so nervous. I didn't even know that this was gonna be this hard. And about the time when I wrote that in my journal, I didn't know this at the time, but I was dealing with a really severe parasite infection. I talked about in my medical health care journey video. So it felt like my body was falling apart as well as my brain, thinking that I was broken, like inside and out. I'd already seen several doctors at that point. Nobody diagnosed me. I didn't know that I was sick. I thought that I was developing a chronic illness, whether that was chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia. A rheumatologist actually diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. My hair was falling out. I was fatigued beyond exhaustion. So that contributed to the decline in my mental health as well. As soon as I started that medication, I kind of got out of a fog a little bit. I was reluctant to try an antidepressant, and I don't even really know why I was. But I know I thought that it was like I didn't need, like it was a cheat or something, like a cheat pill, and I should be able to fix myself. I should be able to just pull myself up by my bootstraps and like just fight this depression, I guess. And I wasn't even aware enough to know that I was depressed at the time. So that's the dissonance and dissociation at its finest for you. But medication at that time was great, and I think it contributed to saving my life. I know that's not the case for everybody, so I'm not condoning it for everybody. You have to figure out what works best for you, see a doctor you trust, and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Another thing that contributed to, I think, my improvement was several ayahuasca ceremonies. I'm not going to get into them here. I may do videos describing those experiences. I may not, I don't know. And I also think that I was in a pretty severe autistic burnout because right after I finished my bachelor's degree, I was 22. I immediately started working, and then I did a month backpacking trip in Thailand, and then broke up with a long-term significant other. So I think I was just in burnout, like from high school until I was like 27, 28. I also have an issue of intellectualizing my emotions. I think because of that pattern of dissociating, as well as just not really fully being able to understand what my emotions are, or having a hard time just feeling them. So a lot of my emotions come in a very visceral state, so I can feel like my gut wrenching when I'm anxious, and I don't put anxiety to that immediately. It might take a little bit, but I would intellectualize my feelings all the time, and I thought that I was like winning therapy and winning my mental health because I could intellectualize myself and my actions and my behavior and my emotions. But I realized that I wasn't. I was just dissociating, so even if I could have the awareness, because I wasn't feeling the feelings, it wasn't really doing me much good, that awareness. I really hope that I've made it past the deepest, darkest pit of hopeless despair that I will ever experience in my life, because it's a miracle that I'm here right now. This is January 8th, 2018, almost a year after the entry. When people say they lived a long, happy life, I don't understand. Existence is painful. No one has any clue why we're conscious, why we experience anything at all. If there is a point, I think we've completely missed the fucking train. Happy is a joke, a cruel, cruel joke. No feeling or state of mind lasts forever, nor should it be chased after like some epic high. Death sounds peaceful. It's non-existence. Nothing we can even conceive of with our limited thinking capacity, but still, I'm confident in saying it sounds peaceful. For all we know, dying just means the end of the stimulation. For me, and I wake up in my true form. It's less crazy to me than a heaven or a hell, yet that belief is so normal. It's anything but normal to me. I don't get it. For a writer, writing a suicide note is impossible. I want to be a total dick and write a novel, because I know my family will stay up for days reading every word. Everyone's ears and eyes perk up when someone dies. No words are more important than a dead girl. I just want someone to kill me, just randomly. My memoir might as well be my suicide note. I'll leave that beast for them and all my shit, because I'll never be what they want me to be. I couldn't even begin to know how to try at this point. I just know I want to die. I just wish I didn't leave a stinking corpse behind. It's really crazy hearing those words because it just feels like a totally different person. But it's tough. It's a journey. I'm happy I found my diagnosis. I'm happy I'm journaling my experience. I'm happy I'm seeing someone, a therapist who specializes in autism, who's autistic herself. I'm gonna leave some resources in the description box. I know this is a really tough thing to talk about. Thanks for listening. If you made it through that entire thing, thanks. Be kind to yourself out there.